The first session we have is a very interesting session. It's by Dr. Pradeep, Dr. M. Madeshwaran, and Lakshmipriya ji. It's titled Five Level Method of UNI5 Storytelling, an effective tool for confronting dilemmas in life. This is under the section of contemporary applications of storytelling. Over to you, Dr. Pradeep. You can begin the session.
Namaste to all of you. Thanks to the organizers. Again, we are it's an honor to again present in this Indica conference, our second topic. And I like to thank my colleagues, Lakshmipriya and Dr. Madeshwaran. Lakshmipriya was supposed to do the presentation, but last minute I had to do this. I also thank our school teachers, UNI5 school teachers, who are great storytellers, inspiring children. I will get into the topic. But in our Indian tradition, it is our grandma or grandpa, uncles and aunts are the original storytellers. Now, if you take the storytelling way in Indian tradition, it is very, very unique. In Tamil, the word for story is kadai. And even now, kadaikkaradu means conversation. So when two people are talking, they will ask, are you kadaikkarad? Meaning, are you conversing? So meaning, our everyday conversation itself is a storytelling. And that is why we all enjoy gossiping. Because through gossiping, we are actually telling our story. We are revealing our feelings. We are conveying something. And what in this UNI5 tradition, which is nothing but the Sankhya tradition, there is a pattern in storytelling. Because in our conversation, we use proverbs, analogy. Maybe in modern people we don't do, but if you look at the tradition, even in the villages, people's everyday conversation will have those analogies and the symbolic messages so that they effectively convey the message. So why do we have this pattern-based? Pattern-based is again the Indian tradition of Panchabhutas. The person who conveys the message, the person who hears it, and the medium of communication or storytelling is in a set pattern, like our dances and music, which has a pattern. So why is pattern again important? Because we are now living in a revolutionary age of artificial intelligence. Even lifeless machines are able to recognize patterns and they're very smart. And that's why we have robotics now. Now, the question we often ask is, if lifeless machine can become smart, why not children? So we give the system of education through patterns. And I'm not going into the detail. Very simplest Indian pattern, the Sankhya system, where numbers we learn, we are only taught 0 to 9. It is repeated again and again and again, and then that's it, we get it. Then we don't need anybody's help. This is a simple pattern. Even languages, we have numbers. Sorry, we have the alphabets. We keep repeating, and that is how we are able to effectively use it. Now, just briefly showing what is a pattern that we are talking about in Indian tradition is a Panchabhutas, represented by the 5 fingers. So the all the 5 elements, the Prithvi, Jala, Agni, Vayu, and Akasha is symbolized in the fingers. And also we have an internal Panchabhutas. We have a body which is nourished by the Prithvi. Our mind is like a jala constantly flowing, and our intelligence is like a bright and can take everything, and that's why Agni Tattva. And our inner awareness is like Vayu, and Akasha is our consciousness. There is no limit in space and time. So this is very simple way of expressing what is the energy pattern represented by Panchabhutas. Now, you'll be wondering, what is this connection to storytelling? Now, what is a universal challenge throughout globe? Communication, how to effectively communicate. That is a important and a universal challenge. How to make communication better, even in homes, in schools, in workplace. Now, I will show you from the right side, when there is a miscommunication in our body, when the pancreas and the liver don't communicate properly, and that's how we get diseases like diabetes. Cancer comes because there is no communication between the cells. So a miscommunication can have disastrous results. When there is no proper communication between in a relationship, whether it is parents, children, husband, wife, teacher, student, employer, employee, then there is a lack of harmony. There is a misunderstanding and the relationship strains. The same way with intelligence. Now, a teacher or a guru who wants to convey a concept, if it is not conveyed properly, then there is no effective learning. The student does not understand anything. Now, again, in the fourth level, in self-awareness, when we are not communicated properly, when we don't communicate properly, then there is a lack of understanding the purpose of life even. And that's why we end up in sorrows. So that is why Valmiki, who wanted to convey karma philosophy, he used Ramayana to effectively convey the message. Vyasa also did the same thing. In Tamil, Shilapadigaram, that karma will play a major role in defining the fate of a person, that also is being conveyed in a story. So storytelling is very, very effective medium of communication. And now we are going to discuss how we do this very effectively in our UNI5 schools, so that the children can have all effective communication in all 5 areas: in the body, in the relationships, in the conceptual learning, and also about life. So this storytelling in India is very, very different from the Western world. And we all know about Vikramaditya stories. We also know about Jataka stories. They, what the stories do is they ask questions in the end. The questioning is like a quiz, but it helps us to the teacher or the conveyor to understand whether the concept has been properly been communicated. So there is a moral. But there is not just moral. Story is not just about moral conceptual giving, but it has all these 5 attributes. And it is a very art form. And that is why we tell that when somebody points a finger at the moon, when somebody uses the finger to point the moon, don't look at the finger, look at the moon, what is being conveyed. So stories are the same way. It conveys something and the concept that the person wants to tell. And that is why Zen Buddhist stories come. Buddha used effectively stories like in the Indian tradition to explain why sorrows come. Now, dilemmas in life is constant. From young age to till death, we are constantly having the dilemma. Even in the morning breakfast, we have a problem. Do we need to eat this one or that one, this fruit or that fruit? This medicine are good or that medicine are good? Should I choose this person or that person? Should I choose this school or that school? It is a constant dilemma we have in our life. And we are all very familiar with Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna, though he has learned everything, he asked the question in the battlefield whether he wants to fight. Should he kill his own relatives, his own gurus? And there is not much time in the battlefield. 700 shlokas has been written, but it takes almost 3.5 hours. But Krishna, with just 5 fingers, conveyed the message to Arjuna, and he got it. And that's the beauty of storytelling. And now I will make a very short presentation on who killed Dronacharya, because Mahabharata itself is a big story. In that there are so many sub stories, and through that sub stories also the same message Vyasa is conveying. So you all know the story about Dronacharya, that he cannot be killed. He's a guru of all these people who are fighting. So it is very difficult to kill him, and Krishna knows that. So what Krishna tells Bhima to tell is to announce in the battlefield that Dronacharya's son Ashwatthama is killed. But actually they killed the elephant named Ashwatthama. And Dronacharya also knows that Ashwatthama is a Chiranjeevi, he cannot be killed. So when Bhima tells, he does not believe. He immediately asks Yudhishthira. And you know the story that when he was about to say that the Hathi, the elephant was killed, that time he will blow the conch and the drums were done. So it didn't reach the ears of Dronacharya. And Dronacharya thought, oh my God, if my son is killed, then I can never win this war. So he sits down and he surrenders. He says, there is no hope, and let I be killed. And that stage, Krishna signs Drishtadyumna, and Drishtadyumna kills Dronacharya. Now the question is, who killed Dronacharya? Is it Drishtadyumna? Is it Bhima? Is it Yudhishthira? Is it Dronacharya himself attempted a suicide, or is it Krishna? And we all know that again from the pattern, that the body level is what Drishtadyumna kills. But you cannot kill the body unless the mind is weakened. So through this story, we understand that to allow the body to be killed, Dronacharya's mind was crippled by the fact that Ashwatthama was killed. As soon as he heard that Ashwatthama is killed, he immediately loses hope. So his mind is killed. So mind is more powerful than the body. But again, the mind will not accept. It wants scientific proofs. So he immediately goes and asks Yudhishthira, because he knows Yudhishthira will always tell the truth. He's a valid point. He talks only scientifically the truth. So he goes and asks, but again, it was crippled. Yudhishthira tells the truth, but it was not reaching him. So once it is confirmed, the intelligence also is confirmed, then the mind obeys, then the body obeys. But then comes the self-surrender. Then Dronacharya understands that I still cannot believe this. So he drops all the weapons and he makes a self-surrender. And you know that it is all this plan of Krishna, who's not doing anything. He does not do anything, but he is the master plan behind it. And that is why it is a consciousness. He represents that Atma, Paramatma, and it is a Paramatma doing everything through our awareness, through our intelligence, our mind and the body. And this concept he shows with the 5 fingers, and he says the forefinger and the thumb, when they join, all the 3 has to obey. And this is what he tells Arjuna. He says, look, who are you killing? Are you killing the body? Are you killing the mind? Are you killing the intelligence? Or are you killing the Atma, Jivatma, or the Paramatma? And he makes him very clear that the self-awareness and consciousness cannot be killed. So the whole concept is very effectively communicated. Even my own experience, I read, when I was a teenager, I read so many spiritual books, Bhagavad Gita, to understand what is this Atma. Being in science field, I cannot digest it because there is no proof. But with this simple story, I was able to understand. And this is a very effective way of communication. And that is why this whole thing, Vyasa uses with the story, with the real life incident. And that's how the tradition of India about conveying the message, the truth, the Vedas, eternal knowledge was given, but it is not easy to comprehend. So the effective mode of communication was through Upanishad. There is a teacher-student having a dialogue, a storytelling, like in Katha Upanishad or any Upanishad, and then the message is communicated. That is also not easy to understand. So the Puranas were written by Vyasa. He used analogy and imaginary stories. It's not imaginary stories. He made like a superhero event-like things, so that we are attracted, we are focused on the story, and we are trying to grasp the concept that is being conveyed. Still, we are not satisfied, and that is why Vyasa again wrote itihasas like Mahabharata. Valmiki did that, and Silappadigaram also. Ilangovadigal did that. Real life incidents were used in storytelling. So now, what we do in our UNI5 schools, we use physical objects to convey in the 5 levels using the first the 5 sense organs. And Dr. Madeshwaran has effectively made through storytelling. Our teachers use objects and tell a story. Even if it is an orange, if it is a lemon, then there is a Puranic story of Brahma creating lemon, how it can prevent all the diseases. And through that, the oxidation, reduction, antioxidant, how to prevent diseases are all conveyed. Now, what happens is the children, if they are just taught about vitamin C and diseases, they won't be effectively focused. So using these props, real objects, the storytelling is an effective way to penetrate and grab the attention of the children. And they also develop aesthetic sense. And look at how even photosynthesis, science concept, geography, history, whether it is physics, chemistry, biology, periodic table, everything is conveyed in a story form. Electrons and protons. How do we understand the electrons are shared between atoms? We tell in a story form, so that the children, even in the age of 4 and 5, first grade, they are able to comprehend better than even a college graduate. We have done research on that, and we found storytelling in classroom in UNI5 format in a particular pattern is very, very effective. So you can see that through that storytelling, they are using the props, shape, texture, taste, and smell, colors are also being conveyed. Now they are able to understand, and also there is a stimulation of thinking through stories. And that's what we see in Vikramaditya stories. The question is asked. It is not just a story that is being conveyed. We are asked to think, and that's what the UNI5 teachers are also doing here. They stimulate thinking. Most of the parents and teachers complain that in young age, the child was asking many questions. As he grows in the teenage, he's silent. He talks only to his peer mates, but not to the parents and anybody else. And we don't know what is happening in his mind. The reason is there is no effective communication. There is no storytelling. Through stories, we were taught and we were asked to speak at home. I remember my mom, every day she will ask, what happened in your school? There is a story for me to tell about my classmates and the teachers. So this effectively brings bondage. And my mother knows without coming to the school about the history of every child. So now coming back to the conceptual teaching through storytelling in symbolic messages. Even last time I have presented that how 7 colors, 7 energy light frequencies are conveyed through Surya Bhagavan and the 7 horses in the chariot. So now what happens is we are conveying not only the concept scientifically, science concept, but we also develop the child to symbolically convey it and understand and lead a peaceful and a purposeful life. The child also can also understand the value of love and compassion and ability to contribute to the society. I don't know how many minutes I have left. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was on mute. In the next 2-3 minutes, can you close?
Okay, I will complete. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So these are again some, because of lack of time, I'm just quickly sharing the pictures, how we use Puranic stories, and the teachers convey with stories that they themselves artistically make it. So the teachers tell us we never knew we had a talent even to tell a story, create a story. But working in UNI5 schools, we have developed that. So what we are learning is the kids are more attentive and more focused in learning. So their grades have improved, and their depth of understanding any concept has deepened with the storytelling. And as we see, these are the results we have done in our research to see the effectiveness of storytelling in classroom. There is an engagement. No child is left away. The child is engaged with the teacher, with the conversation of communication, and dealing with emotion also. When there is a conflict in the child with other children, we use a story to convey the message, thinking and understanding the subject, and also personality development and empathy. Finally, it ends in moksha. And what is moksha is not easy to understand, but it is easy to understand. But the stories, we are able to convey this to the children. So these are some of the pictures how we use several stories. So we have two models, and the conclusion is storytelling is a very traditional way of conveying the message by the guru to the shishya, and also through a pattern. It is not randomly telling. There should be a pattern that is followed, which is the Panchabhutas. And if anybody wants to know more about the school, this is the contact, unifysharp.com or unifyschools.com. Dr. Madeshwaran is the director of the school, and Lakshmipriya conducts several courses for teachers, parents, even pregnant women, how to make awareful pregnancy, to school children, college. And I have a lab now. I use storytelling effectively to convey message to my employees. Again, thanks to everybody. And if there is any time for any questions, I'm glad to answer.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dr. Pradeep and Dr. Madeshwaran and Lakshmi Priyaji. I think, this is one way forward. One important reform in the education ought to be how to bring stories and how to bring every subject to life through that. Audience, any question? Thanks, Dr. Pradeep. So as Dr. Pradeep said, he's one of the co-founders of Shakti Foundation. And Dr. Madeshwaran is the director of UNI5 schools. He has around 26 years of teaching experience. Lakshmi Priyaji is the founder of Shakti Foundation. And all of them are contributing significantly to education with a spiritual orientation. Thank you so much.